And still on elections, let's now move to the United States, where it is 6 days until the high-stakes midterm elections, and Democrats and Republicans candidates are making their closing arguments to voters to ramp up campaign efforts. President Joe Biden has called the upcoming elections a choice between vastly different visions for America. Control of both chambers of Congress and dozens of governorships are on the line. And on Tuesday night, former President Barack Obama campaigned in Nevada to try to shore up support for Senator Cortez Masto. He urged Nevadans to cast their ballots for her as well as other Democratic candidates in the state. We have more details in this report.
The 2022 crucial U.S. midterm election will be held on November 8, but early voting is already underway and candidates are making their closing arguments. It was a packed house with voters coming out to see former U.S. President Barack Obama, who marked Las Vegas as one of his key stops around the country to encourage not only voting, but early voting.
This election requires every single one of us to do our part.
Both the former president and Governor Steve Sisolak touched on one of the biggest issues at the center of the political spectrum: women's reproductive rights.
My opponent's as extreme as he gets. He supports a ban on abortions, wants to ban contraceptives.
And you deserve somebody who's going to stand up for a woman's right to make her own decisions about her body and her health care.
The former U.S. president also focused on other key issues towards the coming election day, including gas prices, the need for affordable health care and housing. Mr. Obama also made it clear that he wants Nevada Democrats to continue fighting.
There may be a lot of issues at stake in this election, but the basic question that you should be asking yourself is who will fight for you?
Meanwhile, early voting for the midterms is already underway in Kenosha, Wisconsin. In August 2020, Kenosha was thrust into the world spotlight after a white police officer shot Jacob Blake, a black man. Black voters in the area are expected to have a say and make their voices heard in the upcoming elections.
We need to bring attention to how powerful the black vote is. It is very powerful. It has swung states, and it will continue to do so. One that I have with my influence, with my business that supports everybody in Kenosha, with my efforts and with my organizations, I'm going to make sure that I speak up. And if I'm silent, then that's just being a part of the problem.
George Floyd and then Jacob Blake shooting just gave everybody at home a refresher course on racism that has dealt with African Americans for many hundreds of years in the United States. We believe the quote-unquote uprising in 2020 has really led to hopefully making a correction in the way we do business in the United States.
Wisconsin is considered to be a swing state. In the 2016 presidential elections, Republican candidate Mr. Donald Trump triumphed, only for voters to switch to Democratic candidate President Joe Biden in 2020 by a narrow margin.
And for more on the U.S. midterms, global affairs analyst Ejike Okpa joins me now from Dallas, Texas. Good to have you join us. Just to confirm that you're there, Ejike Okpa. The U.S. midterm elections will hold in 6 days. Now, it is a high-stake midterm elections, and Democrats and Republican candidates are making their closing arguments to voters to ramp up campaign efforts. And joining me now to talk about the U.S. midterms is a global affairs analyst, Ejike Okpa, and he joins me from Dallas, Texas. Good to have you join us.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So when you look at history, it has never really been on the side of the sitting president when it comes to midterm elections. The midterm elections have always been against the White House. So what are the chances that President Biden could deliver victory for his party this time?
I'm sorry, I mean, what's your question? What's the chances that Biden party
President
is
Biden could
going
deliver
to
victory for his party this time?
I don't think they will because, we have the inflation issue, we have, the crisis at the border, and voters are responding to those. If you really want to get to Americans, you have to hit them in their pocket. And, our pockets are being hit by the democratic rules, and that is not sitting well with us. Of course, it's going to be a very tight election, but, with the president's approval rating as low as it is, that's why even some of the candidates running in his party don't even want him to come and campaign for them. They've now gone in to go get Obama to come out. Obama tried to do it for some candidates 2 years ago, and those candidates lost. So, we don't know what's going to happen, but, the Republican Party, again, I'm a Republican, we're confident we're going to take over, the House as well as the Senate.
Republicans are using the inflation as the issue as a campaign issue, while Democrats are anchoring their campaign mostly on abortion rights. Which of these issues do you think matter the most at this moment?
Well, like I said earlier, the abortion thing, is a very touchy subject. Most people just don't want to talk about it. But with the inflation, if not for the cost of living in America going, high, I don't think, maybe the abortion would have been something. But in all the polls they have made to see what are Americans concerned about, abortion is like number 5 or 7. So it doesn't really matter to them. The Democrats were hoping that would have been, a trigger for them. But, again, both Democrats and Republicans, are suffering, because of the high inflation. So this has no discrimination. So that's what is, persuading the voters. But again, the polls is one thing, then, the votes is something else, when they are counted, and that's November 8th. We will find out, whether, what the polls have been saying, gets proven.
And if Republicans were to secure any of the, or gain control rather of any of the chamber, would this also improve their chances chances of securing the White House in 2024?
Very likely, because when you look at Biden, people know that this is the last term he's going to be. We're hoping that he makes his full term because we don't want Kamala Harris. If Biden were to resign, based on either health conditions or something else, who do we get? And then we'll get Kamala Harris, and then who is likely to jump in as a vice president? Maybe Nancy Pelosi. So. The wish of the Republican Party is that let him hang in there until, let him make his full term. And then the Republicans are ready to take over in 2024, and it's very likely because, again, the economy is something that the Democrats are not very good in running. And we know that, so that's what the expectation is.
There are reports that President Biden is likely to run again, that he has said he would run again. But let's talk about the Republicans. Do you think that this could also be a dominant factor in terms of who becomes or this could also be the deciding factor for who becomes the dominant wing of the party? Is it the pro-Trumpers or what President Trump would call the never-Trumpers? And if President Trump would likely be the presidential candidate in 2024?
Well, again, that's what many Republicans are going to seek the nomination. Biden has expressed that he's going to run for re-election. That's fine. You can, there's no law that says you can't. Even felonies in America can run for president because, there are only 3 conditions that you have to meet in order for you to run for president. It's up to the voters to decide, if those records, matter to them. So it's very likely Trump is going to come in, the January 6th committee hearing, is doing what he's doing. I'm glad they are doing that to get to the bottom of what happened. But, when the Republicans take over, if they do, that hearing thing is just going to be pushed aside because that's not what Americans are concerned about. Americans are concerned about, the issues at the border, people coming into this country that, are illegally, the fentanyl, the drug issues that are killing Americans, those are legitimate things. Those are real fears. That's national security. And so the Democrats, bless their heart, They are interested in come one, come all. America is not a come one, come all country. If you want to come here, come in legally. When you come in legally, you avail yourself of the opportunity. But, nobody will want their home to be broken into. And so we can't encourage people to break into America because of the nuisance in their own countries. And the Republicans are the ones going to fix that.
I know you're speaking as a Republican, but we'll continue to keep our eyes on the race, especially in key battlegrounds. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Global Affairs Analyst Ejike Okpa.
Well, thank you for having me, and good luck to you guys in Nigeria.